For Mosul continues. Human Rights Watch says it's concerned by procedural changes for authorizing strikes by the US-led coalition, as civilians are coming under fire together with ISIL fighters. Amnesty International has launched a petition calling on US and Iraqi authorities to investigate the death toll resulting from the ongoing operation.
هذا القصر هاي قدام عينك هاي كل الضغط هذه والحمد لله والشكر.
زين ليش هوني ماكو دقة؟ خراب صواريخ تطلق. هو داعش في فارة جرد. يعني شو تنتظرون تهجمون المدينة؟ المدينة راحت.
الدولة الإسلامية أذتنا كثير، جوعتنا، مي ماكو، شرب، نفط محروقات ماكو، مواد غذائية ماكو.
Well, an RT crew is in Mosul right now. People there explain to Murat Gazdiev how they feel seeing their city being turned into rubble by the fighting.
In Mosul, it doesn't matter what side you're on. Death can come from anywhere, and you quickly learn to be afraid of everyone. We stopped at this crossroads because the view here really epitomizes what Mosul has been through. In freeing the city from ISIS and their terror, the United States-led coalition and the Iraqi army have resorted to methods no less terrifying than those of ISIS. The neighboring street, all but destroyed. The street across, rubble. The street over there, it's the same story wherever you look.
طلعنا من القصف وخلصنا من ضيم داعش، طلعنا من هنا، يوم 8 بالشهر طلعنا.
كان في اطلاق من الطيران بشكل كبير مكثف بالمنطقة هاي.
اي بس يعني كان يضرب بيتي وقع 5 6 تقدر تفوت بالفرع وتشوف تصور.
You don't need to go anywhere. You don't even need to turn your head. No matter where you look in Mosul, devastation abounds.
بس يعني كان يضرب بيتي وقع 5 6 تقدر تفوت بالفرع وتشوف تصور. اي طيران يضرب على مود شخص واحد يوقع بيت كامل.
As intended by ISIS. The more that die, the merrier for them. What is confusing is that the Iraqi military, backed by US-led air power, are telling people to play along and stay put.
والله توجيه القيادة أن المواطنين يبقون في بيوتهم، هذا التوجيه العام. الآن بدأت الناس يعني بعمليات نزوح.
Who would? While army chiefs are telling people to stay, common sense and rescuers with all their experience are telling them to run.
طبعا إذا كان مسالك خروجهم أمينة الأفضل أن يغادروا لسبب واحد، لأنه عصابات داعش الإرهابية عمدت على تجميع المواطنين واعتبارهم ذروع بشرية.
And that's what these rescuers deal with, pulling the victims of airstrikes and ISIS bombs out of the wreckage of their former houses.
احنا الحمد لله المشاكل اللي نعاني منها يعني اغلب المشاكل نفس المواطن. عندما نذهب الى محل الحادث يصير تداخل بالعمل، يعني المواطنين اللي عندهم مثلا طفل او امراه. احنا عندنا وحدات عسكريه، جهد هندسي عسكري يقوم بعمليه رفع الالغام.
Imagine the stress. Unarmed, they dig night and day under constant fire in booby-trapped buildings and with distraught relatives breathing down their necks. And the workload isn't small.
إمكانيات دفاع مدني نوى بفريق النخبة وفريق البحث والإنقاذ.
اليوم خطة عمل عندنا أهداف في مدينة الموصل، منطقة موصل الجديدة، منطقة حينابلس.
Just another grim day in Mosul. Murat Gazdiev, RT, from Mosul, Iraq.
Well, at a Congress hearing in Washington, questions have been asked about allegations that the US coalition in Iraq had killed hundreds of civilians in air raids on Mosul. On the 17th of March, an alleged airstrike caused the building with as many as 200 people inside to collapse. Even now, rescue teams are still pulling bodies from the debris. The head of US Central Command was among those testifying at the hearing.
There have been a number of press reports about civilian casualties in Mosul.
These are absolutely tragic and heartbreaking situations. The enemy does use human shields, has little regard for human life, and does attempt to use civilian casualty allegations as a tool to hinder our operations.
The implication is now we are carelessly dropping bombs and killing civilians.
We have not relaxed the rules of engagement.
Well, you might have expected that with all the allegations about civilian casualties that keep adding up, that Congress would grill U.S. Central Command and demand answers, ask them what's going on. That's not really the tone that we heard today in Congress. In fact, congressmen were justifying U.S. actions in Mosul. It turned into what you might be able to call a kind of friendly examination, where congressmen were almost hinting to Votel what his answers should be before he gave them. Let's take a listen to what went on at the hearing.
With regard to collateral damage, no one cares more about civilian casualties than the United States military.
For my colleagues, I want to make sure you understand what the laws of armed conflict are. That if we have a legitimate target, we do everything we can to minimize civilian casualties, but we're not allowed to target civilians. We never target civilians. Is ISIS targeting civilians?
I believe they are.
Absolutely. If we are not hitting legitimate military targets and allowing these terrorists to continue to live, then we are actually allowing them to continue to kill civilians. Additionally, it's my view that as we move closer into the urban combat into Mosul and they're using human shields, civilian casualties are going to go up. This is a horrible element of war, that ISIS started this war. So do you agree that some of the high level of, I think, ridiculous standard that we had previously has now created this behavior by ISIS that they now realize if they take human shields, they're going to avoid being struck, and that actually this is adding to the problem?
Congresswoman, I do believe they understand our sensitivity to civilian casualties, and they're exploiting that. And I do agree that as we move into these urban environments, it is going to become more and more difficult to apply extraordinarily high standards for the things that we're doing, although we will try.
It seems that no matter how extreme the allegations get, Washington officials, whether they be the Pentagon brass or members of Congress, are going to try and justify U.S. actions.